In the headlines, Kano State goes silent as residents comply with 24-hour curfew. Condemnation trails murder of journalist in Zamfara State. And President Tinubu woes investors to Nigeria in New York. Also in the news, 3 people dead, 5 rescued in South Africa Navy submarine disaster in Cape Town. Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to the news update on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. We begin in Kano, where residents are complying with the 24-hour curfew imposed after judgment in the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal was delivered in the state, voiding the victory of Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf. The curfew was declared to avoid a breakdown of law and order, according to the police. Major streets across Kano remain empty, with only security operatives manning strategic locations. The State Commissioner of Police, Hussein Gumel, in a statement says the restriction order begins at 6 p.m. on Wednesday to 6 p.m. on Thursday. Gumel vowed to ensure strict compliance with the order, warning that defaulters would be arrested and made to face the full weight of the law. The state governor has called for calm, saying he has instructed his legal team to appeal the tribunal's judgment, which he described as a temporary setback. Well, hours before that development, the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal in Kano State has sacked Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf, declaring the All Progressives Congress winner of the March 18 governorship election in the state. The chairman of the 3-member panel, Justice Oluyemi Akinton Osadebe, delivered the judgment via Zoom. The court deducted 165,663 votes from Governor Yusuf's total as invalid votes, stating that the ballot papers were not stamped or signed and therefore were declared invalid by the tribunal. Idris Jibril has more on the story.
According to the presiding judges of the tribunal, the candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, Abba Kabir, has not won the March 18 gubernatorial election based on evidence presented before the tribunal.
The declaration by the returning officer was wrongly made. We filed this petition to show that, and clearly we have demonstrated it by bringing in invalid ballot papers, 165,000 of the ballot papers, and the court went through these ballot papers one after the other and confirmed that these ballot papers were not signed, stamped and dated, and the law says it shall be signed, stamped and dated. So all these 3 must be there, not 2, not 1, all the 3 must be there, and the court, of course, accordingly deducted these invalid votes from the votes of NNPP.
The tribunal therefore directed that the Independent National Electoral Commission to withdraw certificate earlier presented to the NNPP candidate and issue a fresh one to the APC candidate Nasuru Gawuna.
The court has said that the certificate issued to the NNPP's candidate, the certificate should be withdrawn and a new one should be given to Nasuru Yusuf Gawuna. Now, it is now left for them. If they are not satisfied, they can go on appeal.
Counsel to the APC, Lawan Musa, says the tribunal has further directed that the APC candidate Nasuru Gawuna should be sworn in as a duly elected governor of Kano State, even as the NNPP promised to appeal the verdict.
The tribunal has delivered its own judgment. We are going to consult our clients, and I can assure you that we are going to appeal against this judgment, because it's a judgment which we felt does not manifest the justice of the matter, and I can assure you this decision would be set aside on appeal.
Meanwhile, hundreds of people are said to have been taken to the streets of Kano metropolis in celebration of the judgment, which the NNPP say it will appeal. Idris Jubrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
Now, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariola, has called on Nigerians to imbibe the culture of less litigations and more of the alternative dispute resolution mechanism so that the courts can be freed of unnecessary burden and depletion of both human and material resources. Justice Ariola spoke at the Supreme Court while inaugurating 9 newly appointed justices to the Court of Appeal.
Given reasons for the continued rise in court cases, the CJN says several novel crimes are being committed in the country that have now made litigations to go on a steady rise. He laments that Nigeria continuously ranks among the most litigious countries in the world.
It is a solemn pledge and, of course, commitment to good conduct in the course of your adjudication, especially as senior judicial officers in the appellate court. We're not here for long speeches, but simply to realign your minds with what is expected of you at this very high and enviable level of adjudication. Many high-profile cases would definitely come to you on appeal, and they may likely come in some juicy and irresistible gifts that are often intended to dent your reputation and integrity. I admonish you so that your lordship should flee from such disguised temptations, because your reputation and integrity matter much.
The CJN warned the new appeal court justices to avoid running afoul of the law by running away from all forms of corruption and temptations. He reminded them that the oath administered on them to assume office as justices of the Court of Appeal is a solemn pledge and commitment to good conduct in the course of their adjudication, especially as senior judicial officers in the appellate court.
You must, against all odds, conduct your affairs within the ambit of the law and the hold that you have just been administered on you. The level of public scrutiny of your conduct will, henceforth, assume astronomical dimension, because you have willingly taken up appointment that will strategically place you perennially in the eye of the storm.
While urging the newly inaugurated justices to redouble their effort and dialogue properly with their conscience, the CJN further admonished their lordships to flee from temptations in disguise, saying their reputation and integrity matter much and count enormously in their rise to honor and fame in life.
To Zamfara State now, the State Council of the Union of Journalists on Wednesday confirmed the murder of Hamisu Dengibja, the state correspondent of The Voice of Nigeria. A statement issued in Gusau, the state capital, by the NUJ Secretary Ibrahim Ahmad says the body of the deceased was dumped in a sockaway by those who murdered him. Dengibja had been missing for the past 3 days before his corpse was found. Sources say that the family was initially contacted to pay 1 million naira ransom for his release, but this figure was raised by the suspects ahead of his murder. Now, according to the news agency of Nigeria, it also gathered that the police had arrested one person in connection with the involvement of the killing of the veteran journalist. The NUJ had extended its condolence to the deceased family, The Voice of Nigeria, and the people of Zamfara State. It urges security agencies to thoroughly investigate the matter and bring the perpetrators of the dastardly act to justice. The deceased has been buried in Gusau according to Islamic injunctions. Now, the Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, Brigadier General Yushau Ahmed, says one of the corps members abducted recently in Zamfara State while traveling to the state from Uyo in Akwa Ibom State to Sokoto has been released, while 7 others remain in captivity. Addressing journalists following stakeholders' engagement in Abuja on Wednesday, the Director General of the NYSC reveals that the NYSC core members were abducted overnight. General Ahmed made a passionate appeal to the state governments to ensure the safety of core members across the country. Now, he further urged states to urged them to spend the night in NYSC lodges, military installations, or other designated secure locations. A fire incident has reportedly engulfed parts of Ibis Royal Hotel around Ajao Estate along the airport road in Lagos State on Wednesday evening. Videos shared on social media and verified showed that what appeared to be a two-story building engulfed by raging fire. This senior special assistant on media to Lagos State Governor Jibril Gawat, in a post on X, stated that the fire was reported at 4:50 p.m. and Gawat added that the Isolo and Bolade fire crews, or Isolo rather, and Bolade fire crews of Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service curtailed the fire to prevent substantial damage to the structures in the area. In other news, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Simon Lalong, has expressed optimism that the looming labour strike action will be averted following a crucial meeting with Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima. Lalong, in an interview with State House correspondents shortly after a meeting at the Presidential Villa in Abuja, reiterated the commitment of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration to the welfare and well-being of the nation's workers. The minister says the federal government is in talks with the NLC to avert the planned indefinite nationwide strike.
On so many issues that we discuss and also follow up. Mr. President is not around and the Vice President is around. So many of the issues will also continue with the Vice President so that there will be smooth, harmonious relationship with the labor. No, for me, I don't think there's any problem. We are moving very fine with them. With the Nigerian labor, and you know the posture of the president too is towards good welfare for the labor in Nigeria. So we have no doubt. That's why many of the meetings we had with them, we are not ending up boxing ourselves. We are smiling, all of us, with hope that the best is going to come.
All right, you're watching the news update on Trust TV. Coming up ahead, we take a look at reasons for congestions across correctional facilities in Nigeria. More on this after the break.
Sounds like you're disappointed with the current lot.
We are outside, me and you, regardless, we could have done better.
That you don't have to sacrifice your conviction. We cannot settle for what is bad.
I sacked a governor because of misappropriating 300,000 naira.
The clamor by the NCSC was a unitary form of government. This doesn't go well with Savannah. So when we said we wanted self-government for Nigerian entities, so look, count me out.
What you call goal, aims and directives. But the issue of joining politics simply because you want to be given job or to be given contract.
Removing the assumptions, the foundations of their theories, and at the end of it, each and every one of them thinks he's oppressed.
I was posted to Guachuku. My job was to go from community to community, educating the people how to improve themselves. Government will come to help you.
Welcome back to the news and thank you for staying with us. Let's bring you up to speed with our top stories at this hour. Kano residents comply with 24-hour curfew imposed after judgment in the governorship tribunal. Condemnation trails murder of journalist in Zamfara state. Now, there is a growing public outcry in Benue State by residents on the need for better road infrastructure across the state that have been dilapidated for years. Now, many communities remain cut off due to bad roads, making commerce and trade difficult for a state known as the food basket of the nation. Jimmy Azande tells us more.
Benue residents said for now, the Makudi-Lafia-Kefi-Abuja Trunk A Road is the only highway in the state that is in good condition.
Why? Because, one, it will lessen the congestion on the highway. It will reduce rate of accident on the highway too. And also it will boost the morale of travelers. Because you see, before now, people feel that the road from Makudi to Abuja is a very bad one. And traveling, it's a problem to them. In terms of bad road and bad structure of the road.
The other roads connecting other states and local governments are in a sorry state. In most cases, these roads have become death traps, thereby risking the lives of commuters.
Basically, the roads are terrible. One would say the federal roads in Benue State are in a very bad shape. If you take, for instance, from Makudi to Enugu, it's not motorable. A journey that should have taken you barely 3-4 hours, you're doing 6 hours on the road. It's not just Makudi to Enugu. Boko to Vandikia, through you, it's terrible.
They want the government to fix the basic amenities like roads in the state to ensure a seamless flow of vehicular traffic.
Because we, the electorate, we don't demand any kind of a form of incentive by giving us cash. All we need is social amenities. When there are good roads, we have good hospital, we have a good school, and all these essential amenities are there. Then we are good to go. We'll be happy. So if there's any project that will be abandoned or they have not been able to finish, they should not abandon such a project. They should rather continue from where they stop.
So I am urging and calling on the federal government to, as a matter of urgency, see that these roads are fixed.
For more than a decade and counting, the bad roads in the state have been a nightmare to motorists, who are urging the federal government to act fast to salvage the situation. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makodi.
Now, the delay in the dispensation of criminal cases in Nigerian courts has been identified as a major factor militating against the decongestion of correctional facilities across the country. Nasarawa State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Labaran Magaji, stated this during an engagement with members of the correspondent chapel of the Nigerian Union of Journalists in Lafia, the state capital. Abubakar Abdullahi sent in this report as presented from our studio.
The Nasarawa State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Labaran Magaji, while lamenting the unnecessary stay of citizens in correctional centers in the country, attributed such to unnecessary delay in the prosecution of criminal cases. Magaji, who was a federal prosecutor, said this has also led to the denial and delay of justice for individuals, thereby causing avoidable trauma on the victims.
There are offenses that ordinarily people should serve some other alternative punishments rather than being detained in the prison facility. But because of certain emotions and sentiments, either from the prosecution or from the judges, the next minute, the same categories of people are being thrown into the detention facility. These are extremely unacceptable.
He said there is need to review some of the trials in order to find out those awaiting trial and what is delaying their cases. The chief law officer in the state further charged the citizens to always obey the law of the land, to avoid facing trial at any cost, as government would not fold its hand and allow people to break the law and go scot-free.
And for the prison to be decongested, then it behoves on the citizens to see to it that the rule of law is the guiding principle. Otherwise, prison will continue to be congested by reason of our default, by reason of our affront with the law. And so, decongesting the prison is two ways. One from the side of the citizens and the other on the side of the government.
He further charged journalists to support the system by enlightening the public on the need to be law-abiding in order not to suffer unnecessary incarceration.
Now, President Bola Tinubu rang the closing bell at the Nasdaq stock market in New York on Wednesday as he called on the United States business community to invest in Nigeria's, quote, bubbling market. The president, who is attending the ongoing 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly, was accompanied to the bell ceremony by the president of the U.S. Africa Business Center at the United States Chamber of Commerce, Scott Eisner. The closing bell ceremony held at the 7-story tower of the Nasdaq headquarters in New York signifies the end of a trading session. The Nigerian president cited the removal of, quote, a lot of bottlenecks, including fuel subsidy, which he described as corrupt, adding that his administration had retooled the exchange rate to a, quote, reliable, dependable one-figure floating of the exchange naira.
It's a great honor for me to be here. I am happy to bring Nigeria to your doorsteps and honored that we are here today with a bubbling market that will evolve West Africa's sub-region. The greatest economy is Nigeria. There's an immense opportunity in Nigeria that you can invest your money without fear. We've removed a lot of bottlenecks. We've cleared the oil subsidy that is corrupt, and we have also retooled the exchange rate to a reliable, dependable one-figure floating of the exchange naira. You are free to take in your money and bring out your money. I count on you to invest in Nigeria. Be confident in you.
Now, on an international scene still, in South Africa, 3 South African Navy submarines have died, and submariners rather, have died and 4 others injured after being washed off the deck of a submarine by high waves. The vessel was off the coast near Cape Town when the 7 crew members were swept away. A helicopter was delivering supplies during a refueling operation at the time. This is according to the AFP news agency. The South African National Defence Force, in a statement, says the submariners were participating in a Navy exercise at the time of the incident, adding that the 5 others were saved in a subsequent rescue operation, the police said in an inquest that was opened after the naval incident. The accident came after a weekend of high winds and rough seas. The South African Weather Service had warned, quote, a damaging wave in Cape Town on Wednesday. To sports now, where Nigeria Super Eagles forward Victor Osimhen has been named man of the match following Napoli's hard-earned victory at SC Braga on Wednesday night. The CAR champions started their campaign in this year's UEFA Champions League with a 2-1 victory at Estadio Municipal de Braga. Giovanni Di Lorenzo opened scoring for Napoli on the stroke of halftime, while Bruma equalized for Braga 4 minutes from time. Napoli won the game late on following an own goal scored by Braga's defender to secure victory for the Italians. Though Osimhen didn't score in the game, he was recognized for his impressive display by the UEFA Technical Observer Panel. Well, that's it. You're up to date with the latest news stories at this hour. We'll be back for more later at 2 o'clock. But for now, feel free to follow us across our social media platform for more content and visit trusttv.com for more news. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for watching.